If you've played Rocket League for any amount of time, you've probably noticed that there's a lot that you can learn in this game. Rocket League is a very mechanic-heavy game, with new, crazy, exciting, sometimes stupid moves being discovered almost weekly. Sometimes these things are discovered by accident, and other times a high-level player sort of gets an idea in his head and he sets out to make that become a reality. I'll admit many of the mechanics in this video are somewhat useless. Some of them aren't, but many will have, little use in actual matches. But if you are looking to learn the mechanics that do matter in Rocket League, check out my Rocket League Mechanics Master Course that I've made in partnership with Gamers Ready. This course is ideal for those of you who are, say, Diamond or lower, maybe even in Champ. If you're Grand Champ, it's probably not the course for you, but it's really for those of you who are looking to improve your mechanics and you don't know where to start and you feel like there's just so much to learn. In that course, I go over everything from half flips and air roll shots to things like stalling and hitting flip resets. I've put a link in the description below for you guys to check it out, and if you decide to purchase it, use code FLuuMP, FLuuMP, for 30% off. Alright guys, let's jump into these crazy Rocket League mechanics. Let's start off the list with something many of us would assume is impossible, not just a wheelie, but something that we'll call the one-wheel drive. And this one comes from Twitter user EdEdEddieRL. Now before you think this is just him flying slightly off the ground with his car positioned in such a way that it looks like he's doing a one-wheeled wheelie, think again or look again. Good old Eddie is most definitely on the ground, driving in a sort of like stuck position, unable to really turn his car for obvious reasons. He's just on one wheel. Now you may ask, how is this possible? And I'm sad to say that for this and many of the mechanics that we're looking at in this video, I don't necessarily know how you do this. But give it a try, and if you find out how he's doing this, make sure to post a clip on Twitter and tag me at FLuuMP90. Number 8 goes to something I'm calling the Dashy Twist. I'm not sure if he is the first or only player to do this, but this is probably the most spectacular use of it that I've seen, and this goal was scored by Hayon. Now, a lot of mechanics in Rocket League come out of accidents or sort of broken versions of other mechanics. If you think about like a flip reset, for example, back in the day, hitting the ball with the bottom of your car meant that the ball lost its momentum and your car lost its momentum. But now it means, doing this. Or wave dashing. A wave dash is really just you flipping your car when you shouldn't be flipping your car. That appears to be the case with this mechanic, and because I'm stupid and I have no idea how he's doing this, let's just let Verge explain what it is.
Can you explain how is he actually doing this?
Sure, yeah, I can.
So this is a mechanic that's like really unknown. It's manipulating your wave dash to pull your wheels up off the ground after you've landed. What's happening here is the amount of torque he's building into his wave dash by leaving some of his wheels off the ground at first is whipping them off the ground again. And then he's flip canceling to get that last wheel on the ground, but the torque from that flip is pulling the wheels back up so he can use that for the next wave dash.
Number 7 goes to the after flick. I think other moves have been called this before, but this just seems like the appropriate name for this shot. The after flick is really simple in theory, but very difficult in practice. Simple yet effective. Basically, the after flick was discovered because someone, or all of us, have failed to flick the ball properly and somehow ended up doing this. Cooksier and Fairy Peak are two players who come to mind when I think about people actually doing this on purpose. You're basically flicking the ball in such a way that you flick your car under the ball and you end up popping it up on the way out of your flick. So you're sort of hitting the ball at the end of the dodge animation, or like creating the momentum at the end of it as opposed to at the beginning of it. It's almost like a pre-flip flick, like you could call it that as well. So give this one a try in free play. I don't think it would be that difficult to master, certainly not as difficult as some other mechanics, but you're not gonna be able to do this at will just right away. The next mechanic on our list goes to the wall push. This one's pretty simple, and it does actually have some utility in real game situations. I like to think of this move, like a swimming maneuver, where you sort of bounce off the wall to turn yourself around. This one came from Reddit user Aussie Posse, and it appears as though he's simply bouncing off the wall and timing his half flip perfectly so that he gets more momentum than he could have ever had by simply turning his car around. I could definitely see high-level players using something like this in actual matches just to sort of get back on defense or whatever it may be a little bit quicker. There have been quite a few moves and maneuvers designed to really manipulate the rules of Rocket League, and especially when it has to do with the dodge timer that's present in the game. As most of you know, there is a limited amount of time that one can have in the air before you lose your dodge if you're jumping off of a surface. So if you fall from the ceiling or any other surface, that doesn't apply because you're not jumping. You're not using that first dodge. So the age-old question Rocket League technicians have been pondering is this: how does one fall from the ground? In other words, how can we make it so that our car flies off of the ground against the rules of gravity without really needing to jump and, having that dodge timer be enacted? Well, here's the latest attempt, and I have to say, it's pretty interesting. I don't exactly know how he's doing it, but here are the clips. I couldn't think of a name for this one, and this might actually be the same shot as one that we were talking about, earlier. If it is, I apologize, but these kinds of crazy shots never get old in my opinion, so it's okay if it's a repeat. So this was a highlight clip from Redshift, or it looks like his Twitter is NoFlipGang. Anyways, it appears as though, again, this is a broken sort of wave dash, and it's crazy to me that players have mastered this kind of stuff. I'm sure he's spent hours and hours in custom training or in free play just perfecting this weird sort of broken wave dash so that he can manipulate it to hit shots like this. I'm not sure if this is actually more powerful than a regular power shot. It could be, honestly, because that wave dash really seems to be giving his car a sort of whip that would otherwise be impossible just from a regular ground shot. All right, now this is a really interesting shot performed by Twitter user DPRL8. This is a move I remember I first saw Squishy doing as a potential replacement for the half flip. You can sort of dodge your car into the ground, and obviously the ground wins in this situation. Your car can't dodge through it, so it sort of bounces off of the ground in a weird manner. Well, this is the first time I've seen someone use that ground flip to actually hit the ball into the goal. This would at least be a possibility to throw off your opponent, because otherwise you have to wait until the ball bounces and hit like the power shot off of the ground, which is what most people expect when you're sort of floating behind the ball, and they set themselves up to defend that. But in this case, he's not really hitting a power shot, but he is putting quite a bit of power on it, and I would imagine that it's pretty unexpected. Number 2 on my list goes to a shot or mechanic that I actually managed to pull off the other day in the middle of one of my random 30-minute free play sessions. Also, this whole video is not in any particular order, so I'm not saying mine is the second best or anything. It's certainly not, but I just sort of put them in an order and I just left it that way. Anyways, I call this the flip reset throw or the flippery throw. If you don't know why I sometimes call flip resets flippery sets, it's because one time my mom watched one of my videos and asked me what a flippery set was. She was like, "Why do you keep talking about flippery sets?" Anyways, my mom's not a Rocket League player, so we'll give her a pass. This one's kind of cool and could potentially be something useful if you could do it consistently. I could see this being used as a backboard setup. So basically I get the first flip reset and then dodge under the ball in such a way that the bottom of my car throws the ball forwards. I remember an old shot by Squishy from a very long time ago where he almost does this, but he sort of turns it into an air dribble instead of a throw like mine is. This one is really all about how you position your car after you get that first flip reset. Again, if you're looking to learn some of these cooler Rocket League mechanics, things like flip resets, give my course a try. Link in the description. You know what to do. Okay. All right, guys, we made it to number 1, and we're on the butt flick. Now, I first saw this on Twitter from a Twitter account called Rocket League Recon, which was formerly Drama Alert. And this one is pretty interesting. Basically, instead of doing a normal forwards flick, the player is turning his car around and dodging forwards and sort of canceling his dodge so that the ball shoots upward and into the goal. It is very nice, very clean, and pretty unpredictable. And who doesn't want to be able to do a Rocket League move called the butt flick? Like, that's clearly a necessary mechanic. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and let us know if you can pull off any of these crazy mechanics. You can tag me on Twitter or Instagram. Links for that are in the description below, and also links for, all the people mentioned in this video and their shots, and also a link to my course that I mentioned earlier. Use code FLuuMP for 30% off if you are interested in getting it, and stop sucking today. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Peace out.